I'm here with Gerry, well known in Irish chess for many years. You've been organising tournaments, you've been involved in chess politics, you've been to Olympiads as an arbiter. Tell us what's your origin story as a chess superhero of Ireland?
I'm not so sure I'd agree with your description, but the origins actually stem back to my first getting involved in the Munster Chess Union, getting involved in the local politics, as it were, and playing in the Limerick Chess Club. And I do remember Frank Noonan, who was most of the organisers of the Limerick Chess Club at the time, asked me to help him run the North Munster Chess Championship in, might have been, I don't know, 84, 85, down in Charleville, and then got me involved in the Munster Chess Union. And then I was suddenly elected delegate from the Munster Chess Union to the Irish Chess Union, maybe 87, there or thereabouts. And that was my first steps onto the national scene, if you know what I mean.
And so that event, that organisation of the Munster Championship, that was your first tournament that you ran?
Well, I was helping Frank, really.
Okay,
the first one I actually ran was probably myself and Paul Carey actually ran the first Limerick Open in 1988.
Okay.
That was probably my first. I helped Frank a few times, but then Westinghouse Electric in Shannon at the time sponsored it with the grand sum of £200,
which paid
for the venue basically, and which is it gave us a good start. Limerick Open grew quite quickly back then. I mean, within the first year or two, we had Ireland's leading players playing it.
Right.
So that was my first foray into running. I found I enjoyed running chess tournaments far more than I enjoyed playing them.
And hence you. So then, when did Bunratty first start? It's like 20. I know there's been 25. Wasn't it?
Over the board there's been 28 Bunrattys.
Okay.
And online there's been 2. So
right.
27, 28. The first one happened I got a phone call from the then manager of the Fitzpatrick's Bunratty Hotel, Michael Nix, and he said, a mutual friend told me about you guys, and can you come out and see me sometime? I'll buy you a coffee. So I went out and saw him. He had the idea that the Fitzpatrick's Bunratty Hotel was very busy during the summer and right through to the autumn, but during the winter time it was very quiet. He said, I'll sponsor it for the first 3 years, see if you can get it going, here's some money, start me a chess tournament. But he said, I don't want a cheap chess tournament, I want this to look good. He sponsored prizes, everything he wanted. He kind of said, I'll sponsor for 3 years, after that, if it's not self-financing, I'm out.
And so that got you up and running, you got a good reputation,
yes.
You were able to attract stronger players.
Yes.
And when did you start Bunratty is famous for the fact that you meet, like you're going to breakfast and you sit down beside a grandmaster or
it was always our priority to get the stronger players, certainly my priority to get the stronger players over. It all stemmed actually from competition, friendly competition with Kilkenny. We weren't the first ones, Kilkenny were. 1994, Kilkenny decided to go international. And they said, the best way, whoever's the British champion, we'll invite them. Whoever's the Scottish champion, we'll invite them, and we'll bring over players. I think Jack Lowry's son Paul was working in one of the major international business, can't remember which one, but a bit of sponsorship came their way that way, and they started getting the stronger players. So in 1995, only our second Bunratty, okay, who did we get? We got Danny King.
Excellent.
And it grew from there. It was trying to outdo Kilkenny.
Yes.
Kilkenny have 3 grandmasters, we'd aim for 4. It was seriously, there's nothing like a bit of competition. That's what drove it from the start.
So so you had these. You were successfully running Bunratty. You were attracting these famous players from overseas, and some famous players, some of our stronger players here.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you never had any disasters? Or difficulties?
There was always difficulties, of course. There was always difficulties, but there was never any disasters. The worst Bunratty from our point of view as organisers was 2010. And it was because the hotel itself, the Fitzpatrick's Bunratty Hotel, was going severely downhill, and they weren't looking after it, and our entry level dropped a bit, and the hotel was in much worse condition than it was in 2009, which basically we had to get out of it. We had to.
And that's when you moved to
across the road.
Across the road.
Yeah.
Right.
But that was thanks to Gerry O'Grady. He'd overheard our conversation in the bar after the 2010 tournament. I mean, to be fair, myself and Paul Carey had actually lost money on the 2010 tournament. We were putting money, out of our own pocket, and we decided we weren't doing this anymore. I mean, much as it was a labour of love, but it shouldn't cost us money.
No, it shouldn't.
No. Absolutely. So Gerry heard that, and Gerry turned around and said, he sat down and he said, guys, I'll tell you what, organise it across the road. It's a much better hotel. I've been across there for lunch, and I'll tell you what, I'll be your safety net for the first year. I'll make sure even if you make a loss, I'll cover it. Let's try that. And then he became our regular sponsor. Every Bunratty after.
Certainly was a very nice safety net.
He was a very nice safety net. Yes. He certainly was. He was. Yeah, and he actually played quite a few times as well. But he was absolutely brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant.
Excellent. So, finally, you mentioned you got onto the ICU executive as Munster delegate. So at some stage you started ascending the ranks, so to say, and you eventually became chairperson.
I did. I was the PRO, I think, in 1990, 1991, and at the 1992 AGM I was elected chairman. I served as chairman from 92 to 94, and I think you'll appreciate it. It was much easier back then. No emails, and
that would have stopped a lot. You'd have very little correspondence then. Yeah,
people had to write an actual letter back then.
And they had to spend money putting a stamp on it as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it was easier back then, but I mean now it's just too easy for keyboard warriors to complain about this, that, and the other without giving it an awful lot of thought. But generally speaking, if you got a complaint back then, there was something to fix. It was a serious complaint, but now there's just a lot of noise there with the email traffic and all this, and it was easier back then.
Now, final question.
Yep.
Really important. Everybody in Western Europe and beyond want to know: will there be another Bunratty?
I think the answer to that is yes, and not only yes, but we're hoping it will be in 2025. We can't be sure of that yet. There was major renovations in the Freudian slip, in the hotel that we're now currently in and have been in since 2011. They built a very big ballroom so they could cater for large weddings. That's done, but there's still Ukrainian refugees in the hotel. The hotel are trying to reopen as a hotel. There's obviously difficulties there, but if they can open as a hotel in time, there will be a Bunratty in 2025. But Mr. Putin has a say in that as well.
Indeed he does, sadly. Anyway, listen, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's been a
pleasure.
Thank you.